Hey guys, what is up? What's going on? It's your girl Ashley and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be a highly anticipated review video on the Vault by Jaclyn Hill in collaboration with Morphe. Well, it's not necessarily technically gonna be a review. I definitely wanted to sit down, play with the shadows, put them on my eyeballs, blend them out, and let you guys know my thoughts. So that's exactly what you're gonna get in today's video. Keep in mind, I don't believe in swatches. I don't feel that you can truly tell how well a shadow is going to perform on the eyes with a single swatch. That's just my personal opinion. That's how I've always been on my channel. So if you guys have been following me for a minute, then you guys know that. I do want to get this out in the forefront before we begin because I feel like it's super important. Morphe has no idea who I am. I do not have a coupon code. I do not get PR. I purchased this with my own money. So this is gonna be an unbiased, unaffiliated review / demo. So if you guys are in it to win it, if you're here for the real raw tea, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Also, don't forget to turn on your post notifications so that way you guys are notified anytime I upload, which is 3 times a week, every single week. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 9 a.m. and you guys don't want to miss it. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the review. Honey, the tea is hot and let me just say, you're gonna want to keep watching. So for today's eye two, I will be using Bling Boss, which has the purple confetti. And it also says Bling Boss right here. When you flip her open, it has an array of stunning purple shades. I was probably most excited about this palette. You guys know I really never experiment with color. So when I saw this palette, when she did her first initial kind of like announcement video, I was all about it. I was all here for it. So that's why this is gonna be the very first palette that I feature in this 4-video series. The first shadow I'm gonna dip into is this one right here called Hush Hush, which is a pretty standard kind of like mauve shade. And I'm gonna take it on a Morphe M441. And I'm just going to start packing it right here on the very outer V, like so. And this is just going to be my first initial transition color. You guys know I do kind of like to stamp the color on my eyelid and then I'll go in and I'll start blending a little bit later. I also didn't set down my crease just because I really want these shadows to show up to their full intensity. So once I have this color stamped right here in the socket, I am going to go in and blend a little bit, but I'm not going to start blending until the majority of the product has already left my brush. So if you want to go like this a couple of times, you are more than welcome to do so. And then you can kind of go right back in and kind of buff out these edges right here. So far, I think the shadow is blending out very, very nicely. As you can see, it's a very faint wash of color. She does look a little bit more gray than mauve. It doesn't really look like the color in the pan, but that could have a lot to do with the fact that I did not set down my lid with a translucent shade. Sometimes when you mix powders with concealers, it can alter the color just the slightest bit, so it's not something that I'm too concerned or too alarmed about. So you can see just how well the shadow blended onto the eyelid. Like, look how seamless the blend is. It's not patchy or anything like that so far. I am gonna switch brushes. I'm gonna switch over to using a Morphe M514 and I'm gonna pick up this shade right here called Sparks, which is a really beautiful brick red shade. And what I'm gonna do with this is I'm going to pop her right here towards the very outer corner. And like I said, I did switch brushes just because I did want a little bit more of a smaller brush for this step. And so far, the pigment on this, A1, honey, A1. Like, this is really pretty. So I'm pretty impressed so far with this shade. I'm gonna continue to pack on a little bit more of this shadow right here on the very outer V. What I'm doing here is I'm really taking my brush and I'm going in circular motions towards the very outer corner just so that way I can really just pack that color on in an intense way. I'm also gonna take it into the crease ever so slightly, and I'm doing this right after I've already put the majority of the product right here. I will say right off the bat, you could definitely tell that she's getting a little patchy in this area, which is very shocking to me. So I will say things are looking pretty decent, nothing too out of the ordinary. In the beginning, I started to see that this area was getting a little patchy, but for the most part, I was able to fully intensify it without it looking too patchy. One thing I will say after blending the shadow on this eye is that the shadows do appear to be a little bit on the dry side. I don't feel like they're as creamy as the shadows in the original Jaclyn Hill palette, and that's just based on experience. I have been playing with that palette a lot recently, so I'm very familiar with the formula in that palette. These ones definitely are a little bit harder to blend, as you could see. Normally I don't have this much trouble blending out shadow, but I am going to continue to stamp the color. So I went ahead and switched brushes over to a Morphe M433, and I really started to pack this color right here in the outer socket and really just blend and deepen up the crease a little bit, and it appears to be a lot smoother and a lot better than it was when I had originally started blending the shadow. The next shade I'm taking is a shade called Rockstar on my Precise Precision brush, and I'm just rocking it right here in the outer area of the lid. I'm not entirely sure why I'm doing this step, because it honestly just looks like the shade we just applied all over the crease. That magenta shade definitely took a turn, and she doesn't look all that magenta anymore. And I'm just packing her right here on the very outer corner. Then with the M514, I'm just gonna kind of blend this outer corner area. And she definitely is getting patchy, which is disappointing. And you can see she's getting patchy right over here the more I blend. Honey, I had high hopes. I'm a little shocked. I definitely wasn't expecting my palette to be bad. I wasn't expecting it to get patchy when I started to blend. I wasn't really expecting any of that, but I'm gonna try to finesse it. One thing that's a little bit disappointing is that you shouldn't have to try to finesse the shit out of a palette when you buy it. You should buy it and it should blend out like a dream. It should be extremely buttery and pigmented. I know things happen in production, so it may or may not be Morphe or Jaclyn's fault for that matter, but it just kind of sucks because as a consumer you want quality product, and right now I'm a little disappointed. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna go in with my MAC 242 brush with a little bit of concealer, and I'm gonna cut my crease. I definitely want to try and save the look. Now that my crease is nice and cut, I'm gonna go in with the shade right here called Mystic. On that same MAC 242 brush, I went ahead and cleaned her off. I'm actually gonna spray the brush with a little bit of Fix Plus. Jaclyn always claims that whenever she goes in with like shimmery eyeshadows that she always sprays them down, no matter if they're high end or affordable. So that's what I'm gonna do in this case, because I feel like that's what she would do. And I'm gonna kind of just pack her all over the lid. I'm gonna go in with a flat shader brush and I'm going to pack her onto the lid. She's not going on shimmery or anything like that. She looks more like a satin than anything. This definitely is not a foiled eyeshadow for that matter. So just keep that in mind when working with this particular eyeshadow. You're not gonna get too much of a sheen. It's definitely gonna look a little bit more flat and kind of more like a satin, but for the most part I do like the pigmentation of that purple. Definitely not what I was expecting, but it's all right. With the Morphe M433, I'm gonna pick up the shade called Mystic, and I'm gonna take her and I'm just gonna kind of buff her into this purple to really just try to bring everything together, if you know what I mean. So you guys, I honestly do not know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why my lids are getting patchy. It's getting patchy in the areas where I put like the matte shadows. Like this shadow on the lid, it's decent, it's all right. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm probably just gonna take the shade called Gem, which is that purple shade, and I'm gonna try to put her all over the lid at this point, because y'all, I don't even think I could save this. And when it comes to eyeshadow, guys, I feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable and I'm pretty good at finessing things and making just about any and everything work. But this right here, this is definitely throwing me for a loop. Okay, so after that, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of that shade called Mystic on a Morphe M507. And I'm gonna use it to deepen up the crease right here. I'm going to use a clean Sigma E25, and I'm going to use this to buff out these edges because they are looking a little bit on the harsh side of things. After building up that deep color, I'm having a hard time blending her out, so I'm going to add in a little bit of the shade called Sparks. I'm gonna take a clean makeup wipe and I'm just gonna kind of clean up right here. And I'm pretty much just cleaning up the fallout because I did get quite a bit of fallout as I started to build up the shadow. I'm gonna go into the original Jaclyn Hill palette and I'm gonna pick up the shade called In Light. And I'm gonna pop this on my brow bone to act as my brow bone highlight. What I'm doing here is I'm just trying to soften things up to get more of a seamless blend. You guys know I like to go in with a brow bone highlight to really just soften things up and just bring the look home, because right now I'm feeling like things are really harsh and very like unblended, which is just not what I'm about. So that's why I'm trying to really go in and soften up the edge. This part right here, like the dark brown color, she's like really patchy. Damn, y'all, I had high hopes, like really high hopes. So what I'm doing right now, guys, is I'm going right back into the shade called Sparks, and I'm trying to put it directly over top of the shade called Mystics, which was that really deep color right here, just to give me more of like a softer blend, because like I said, things were looking a little bit harsh. It was very hard for me to blend out that shade. I'm low-key about to give up on the look. Like, let's be real, I honestly just can't get her to work. Anytime I go in and I start to blend, the shadows just become patchy. It's like you can only go back and forth with your brush a certain number of times before the shadow completely wipes off and becomes like really patchy. So what I'm gonna do, you guys, is I'm actually gonna do my liner, pop on some lashes, finish off the rest of my face, and then we'll come back and we will talk about the Bling Boss palette from the Vault collection. Okay guys, so I'm back to finish off the video. You could definitely see that the eyeshadow still is patchy. I tried to fix the look as best as I could based on the circumstances. I'm now gonna go in with the shade called Bling Bling, and I'm gonna use this as my inner corner highlight. I'm gonna spray my brush with a little bit of Fix Plus, and I'm gonna pop it right here in the very inner corner. So that's a really pretty color. Going in with a little bit more to really make that inner corner pop. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back into the shade called Sparks on a flat definer brush by Sigma, and I'm gonna take her and I'm gonna push her right here onto my lower lash line. And you guys know I like to just push the shadow right here on the lower lash line, and then I will go in and start to buff and blend it out. With a pencil brush, I'm just going to take the shadow and begin to buff and blow it out. I really want this to be nice, sultry, and sexy. So don't be afraid to really just take your brush and drag it down. I'm going to take a little bit of the shade called Rockstar, and I'm going to push it right here towards the outer V just to deepen it up a little bit more. So I want to give you guys a close-up of the eyeshadow and how it looks. As you can see, the eyeshadow right here is patchy on my right eye, like right in this area. The more and more I blended out the shadow, the more patchy it became, which was just like weird to me because that's never really happened to me that much. It's like no matter what matte eyeshadow I use, it just started to become patchy in that area. As for this side, it's not as patchy just because I took that purple all the way over and I really didn't blend as much on this side as I did with this side, because once I saw that this side started to become patchy, I didn't really want to mess with this side. I really had to work hard to get it to look like this, and even this isn't my best work. Like, it's far from my best work. So I went ahead and zoomed you guys out just so that way you guys can see the look as a whole. All in all, I'm not very impressed with the Bling Boss palette, which was the purple one that I used in this video. For the most part, I feel like the shimmers are decent. They swatch very nicely and they went on very nicely. This one right here, this purple, isn't a true shimmer. As you can see, it's not super shimmery on my eyelid. It is what it is. I will say that the mattes need a little bit of work, and I say that in the best way possible. You guys saw the proof is in the pudding. Like, I can't make this stuff up. Like, I really can't make this up. You guys saw in the video, whenever I would blend out the mattes, they became extremely patchy, and it's nothing against Jaclyn Hill. I feel like that's just something that happened when they produced the palette. Something went wrong. We were under the impression that all of this was going to be fixed before the vaults were launched, and it doesn't look like all of the palettes were in fact fixed, which is very disappointing. I did get the entire vault. The only one I've tried so far is Bling Boss. So I'll definitely keep you guys updated either on my Insta stories or down below in the description or the comments to let you guys know how these other palettes are performing. For the most part, I'm sure a lot of you guys can probably look at me and say, okay, well, you know, it doesn't look all that bad. But I will say I took a lot of time to really stop, blend, try to make it work. And in no way, shape, or form do I feel like the average consumer should have to work that hard to get eyeshadows to work. You know, you should be able to buy a palette, put it on your eyelids, it should blend out, it should be pigmented, it should be creamy, and all of that stuff. And I don't feel like the mattes in this palette do just that. They are a little bit on the dry side, and like I said, once you start to blend them out, they get patchy. The Jaclyn Hill palette, you guys know I just purchased this. I will say that this is a really awesome buy. I really love the mattes in this palette. They were extremely creamy, buildable, blendable. Like, I have nothing bad to say about this, but the vault is something that I am highly disappointed in. Well, let me just speak for Bling Boss as a whole. This palette is a palette that I am disappointed in as a consumer. I did buy this. Morphe did not send it to me. I'm not on their PR list. So that is pretty much my honest thoughts on the Bling Boss palette so far. Again, I don't know if I'm going to do a 4-part series just based on how this performed, but definitely let me know what you guys want in the comments down below. And with that, if you guys like reviews, if you guys like makeup tutorials that actually work in the end, be sure to subscribe to my channel, and also don't forget to turn on your post notifications so that way you guys are notified anytime I upload a new video, which is 3 times a week, every single week. I almost said 2, but I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and you guys don't want to miss out on that. I love you, and thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I'll be sure to catch you guys all on the next one. Deuces. And just like that, we've made it to the outro of the outro. Would you guys think of the Bling Boss palette based on how it performed? Would you guys like for me to do the other 3 palettes, or is it not even worth it? I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments. If you guys have not subscribed yet, be sure to press the subscribe button right here. And if you guys want to see any of my other reviews, I definitely recommend that you guys check out these videos right over here. If you guys like blending eyeshadows, you know, honesty, then you're gonna like some of those videos. And with that, I'm gonna go. I love you. Goodbye.